Over the next week, we're offering a two-part discussion about tradition, identity, and belonging in a time of social and physical distancing, where many of the things that we and our students took for granted have been taken from our lives. Today, I want to talk about tradition and rituals and ceremonies, what they are, how they define us, and how we feel when they're gone from our lives. I want to talk about how traditions and rituals impact our sense of wellness and how students and educators might be responding to not having them. For most of us, the world is structured around our fairly rigid schedules. We get up in the morning, we get ready for school, and we get ready for work. We go about our days. And then when we come home in the evening, we make dinner, we eat dinner, we do our homework, we help our kids with their homework, we might watch TV, might do something social, and then we go to bed. And in the morning we wake up and we repeat what we did the day before. And at some point, most of us complain about how mundane and meaningless it all feels. And I know for those of us with kids, we've all heard them groaning when we tell them in the morning to hurry up and get ready for school because we don't want them to miss the school bus. But when we step back and actually deconstruct our days in detail, we can see much more clearly how much tradition and ritual we've actually got built into our everydays and how important these small actions really are. Now, many of the things that we do, probably most of the things that we do, are small actions, and we're just not aware of them as being important rituals. So, for example, our morning rituals might include getting up when the alarm clock goes off, finding something to wear for school or for work. We want to make sure that we look right when we leave the house. Making sure that we look and smell good, though, is not just about what we wear when we leave the house, but it's a statement about our internal identities as students for our children and about our internal identities as professionals for ourselves. What we wear and how we present ourselves is a statement about our internal values, and it's also about where we fit into our communities. We have value within our community as students and as professionals. We know our roles and what we need to do once we leave our home. Now, the morning ritual of getting ready means saying goodbye to the family for a few hours, and it means greeting our communities with a new face on. It means we've put on our work clothes and our school clothes as a ritual, and that we're moving into our communities with a different function, a different sense of purpose. So our ritual of getting ready marks an incredibly important transition from one part of our lives to another part of our lives. And it does the same for our students too. When they get up in the morning and they get ready and they decide what they're going to wear and what they're going to look like when they go to school, they're moving away from being children in our homes to members of another community, the school community. So now that we've discussed the morning ritual and why it's important, let's think about the many rituals and traditions that happen throughout the day, both for educators and through students. Think about assembly or roll call or group work or recess time or afternoon activities. All of the things that we do to move our students from one session to the next might just be a small ritual, and it might have an incredibly important goal in establishing the student's sense of purpose, their identity, and their value in the world at large. Ceremonies, rituals, and transitions, no matter how big or how small, give our lives structure and flow. Now, in the same way, at the end of the day, when we come home from school and when our kids come home from school, we all might get changed into something more comfortable. We might make dinner together, we eat dinner together or not. We might watch TV together. We might have a bedtime story. These are all rituals that tell us, hey, you did a good job. You got through the day. You were out in the community, being a professional or being a student. You had a purpose. You completed your purpose. But now that the day is over, you're coming back together as a family unit, and you've got the family rituals again that establish a sense of belonging in the family. So small rituals, but they really speak to big milestone events, psychologically, emotionally, and socially. With COVID-19, the world that we knew is suddenly unknowable, and it's certainly even more unknowable for younger people and for children. All of the things that we took for granted are gone. If we don't have morning and daytime and evening rituals, does this mean we don't belong, or that we don't have value, or that we're stuck in a moment in time and place, that we don't have any place at all? Now, obviously, we know intellectually that it doesn't mean that at all, but it can certainly feel like that. When rituals go away, whether they're the small daily rituals or bigger rituals at the end of the school year, we feel a sense of loss. We feel that we no longer belong to something bigger than ourselves, and that in some ways, maybe parts of our identities have been taken away, and that we've come to a sudden stop with no opportunity to move forward. So on a much larger scale, thinking beyond the rituals of our everyday that we once knew, we're entering a time of the year where traditions and rituals of closure, such as graduation, academic awards, cleaning up the classroom even, end of the year social events, all of those little and big rituals and ceremonies should be happening, but they're not. Now, these bigger, important ceremonies, just like our morning, day, and evening rituals, help us to understand ourselves and prepare us for our next steps in the world. And for students, these rituals might mean something really important, like moving from the academic year into the summer vacation. They might mean being prepared to move up a grade level, possibly stay in the grade level. They might prepare a student to think about their summer job, or moving to college, or moving to another school district, any number of larger moves that might happen at the end of the school year. So these are ceremonies and rituals that mark big transitions. So rituals and ceremonies and traditions, large or small, are milestones that tell us, hey, you've done a good job and you're ready for what's next. We know where we are and we know where we're going. So closing rituals mark our individual and internal transitions, but they also let our collective communities know that we've stepped up to the plate and that we're ready to move forward with new responsibilities. So traditions represent a critical piece of our culture. They help form the structure and the foundation of our families, and our schools and our societies. They also remind us that we're part of a history that defines our past, shapes who we are today, and tells us who we're likely going to be tomorrow. They also include transitions in a very social context. So we might be leaving behind all of our friends in a certain grade level and moving into another grade in a larger school where we don't know anybody. So saying goodbye to people who have been meaningful for us, not just as a friend, but in shaping who we are as a collective unit, as a grade 3 or a grade 11 or a kindergarten. Of really important. Students need closure, adults need closure, and ceremonies provide this closure, the opportunity to say goodbye socially to people who were part of our identities. So why is it so important to have closure? Closure contributes to a sense of comfort and belonging. It brings families together, and it brings schools together, and communities together. Closure reinforces our values, such as freedom, in some cases faith, integrity, a good education, personal responsibility, for example, a strong work ethic, and the value of being selfless. Closure and ceremonies of closure provide a forum to showcase role models and celebrate the things that really matter in life. Ceremonies of closure give the chance that we can say goodbye and we can say thank you to somebody who has contributed to something larger. Tradition serves as an avenue for creating lasting memories for our families and friends. I think in our families, we've all talked about ceremonies of graduation where a mother graduated or a brother graduated or a sister graduated or a grandparent graduated. And they give us an excellent context for meaningful pause and reflection on who we were, who we are now, and who we have the potential to become. Without these ceremonies and without these traditions and rituals, many of us feel lost. It's really normal. We might feel we have no value because nothing has been said in our communities. We've not walked up, we've not to the podium and received an award. We haven't had the last goodbye hug from our teacher and from our friend who was important to us. Understanding what's happening internally with our students can help us work with them during the COVID-19 lockdown, and they can help us find creative ways to replace these important ceremonies of closure that mark our transitions in the world. At our next session, I want to talk about some ways that you can help overcome some of the trauma that students might be feeling about the missing rituals and traditions. So I'm really looking forward to our next session later on, and I hope this has been helpful. Have a great day now.